Hello and welcome everyone. You are currently entering the Women in Engineering live chat. We'll be starting a session soon, so stick around while others continue to join. But you are in fact in the right place. So gals, how is your week 3? We're a fifth of the way through the semester, which is weird to say.
My friends were talking about midterms already, and I was like,
No,
guys,
Jordan, please, not today.
I was like, no, because I had spent a week in the COVID hotel, so it feels like week 2. Like,
Oh
yeah,
man, I forgot. I'm so sorry.
yeah, because I feel like week 2 is non-existent, so I came back on week 3, and I was like, did school start?
Honestly, vibes on campus feel like they're really great. It feels like freshman year again. It's really, at least like my freshman year since I'm a senior, like that was before COVID. It's really cool to see like energy is back.
I feel like there's also just more events. Like you can walk out and it's like, oh, what are they doing? Like that was non-existent when I first came to campus.
Yeah.
Yeah, did you do anything fun this weekend? Did you do anything for the weekender or
I
the
did
first
not
day?
go. Did anyone go?
No, I
I
was
heard we
supposed
crushed
to.
them though.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did really well, but I
That's what
didn't
I
go.
like
I
to
want to go next
see.
year though because it seemed really fun.
This was my last year. Sad.
Oh,
I know. I was like, oh, I'll go. And then they're like, oh, Stanford isn't in session. And I was like, do I really want to make a 7-hour drive in a heat wave with gas prices this high? I think I'll stay here. But I'm glad our football team's back.
yeah, they
The
did really
least we
well, right?
deserve.
I didn't watch it because I was celebrating like the Mid-Autumn Festival or like the Moon Festival. So
Oh,
we
that's
so
so
my
fun.
my friends and I we made dumplings. Well, it's weird because the friend group is like half Chinese and half Jewish. So we like made dumplings, but also like
Went to Shabbat.
yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, every Friday. I'm there. I'm
Yeah,
there every
really?
Friday.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. Guys,
I
come to Shabbat. It's so fun.
It is fun. It's really fun.
Um, all right. Well, it looks like we're getting a few more people, so I'll hold off starting for like just a few more seconds. But once again, everyone, welcome to the Women in Engineering live chat. We're going to start the session in just a second. We got some people straggling in. Love to see it. But yeah, I guess honestly, we get started now if
Yeah.
everyone's ready. Yeah, we'll get started. So first things first, we want to welcome each of you once again to the Women Engineering live chat brought to you by us, real life engineering students who were in your shoes not too long ago. Before we move on, I do want to thank the panelists for taking time out of their Sundays to join us here. But here on our next slide is our agenda for the next hour. We'll be kicking it off by introducing our panelists for the evening, all of whom are current engineering students. Then we'll be answering questions that you all submit on the webinar Q&A feature, though I will ask that you all hold on submitting your questions until we get to the Q&A portion. It's probably obvious given the title, but today we'll be discussing what it's like to attend Viterbi as a female identifying student. Any question about the student experience at USC in engineering or in college in general is fair game. If you are viewing the live chat recording at a later date, do not worry. You can still email us questions at vstudent@usc.edu. We may not get to all the questions during the session, but if you email us, one of us will follow up with a response as soon as we can. For now, though, please hold off on submitting questions to the Q&A. As a reminder, though, we are just students. We're here to share the student perspective of Viterbi, and we cannot answer the majority of admission-related questions. Please direct those to our admissions staff at viterbi.admission@usc.edu. At the end of the session, we'll spend a few minutes going over how to get in touch with us and the Viterbi admission office, and we'll be sharing some resources that may be useful as you navigate the application process. But now, without further ado, let's introduce ourselves. I will go first. Hi, everyone. I'm Gianna. I'm a senior studying computer science games. My pronouns are she, her, and I'm from Phoenix, Arizona. Over the past couple of years, I've been involved in several things on campus. I've done computer science robotics research. I'm a part of the SC Climbing and the Surf Club. I'm a freshman academy coach, so I mentor freshman engineering students. I'm a part of the Student Alumni Society, Greek Life Themed Entertainment Association, and I also volunteer at Children's Hospital Los Angeles. And now we will go to our panelists.
Hi, everyone. My name is Celine Vasquez. My pronouns are she, hers. I'm a junior studying biomedical engineering, originally from Montebello, California. Some things I'm involved with on campus. I'm the vice president of the Associated Students of Biomedical Engineering. I'm a member of USC Helene, which is USC's official spirit organization on campus. And I also do undergraduate research in a nanodiagnostics laboratory.
Hey everyone, I'm Kaylee. I'm sorry, I lost my voice a little bit. I am a sophomore studying astronautical engineering and minoring in photography from Bakersfield, California. Some of my involvements include the Rocket Propulsion Lab. I did undergraduate research under the Curve Fellowship. I'm part of NSBE, which is the National Society of Black Engineers. And I also do undergraduate research at CERC, which is the Space Engineering Research Center here on campus.
And oh, so sorry, got ahead of myself. Jessica, please
No
go.
worries. Hi all, my name is Jessica and I go by she, her. I'm a freshman studying computer science from San Francisco, California. Currently, I'm part of the Daily Trojan and I plan on joining Case++.
Yay, so sorry. Got a little excited. Now we're going to jump to our moderators who will be behind the scenes responding to some of our questions that don't get answered live by our panelists. Let's go ahead and meet them.
Hi everyone, I'm Sydney. I'm a junior studying chemical engineering and I'm originally from San Francisco.
And hi everyone, I'm Jordan. I am a junior studying computer science. I go by she, her pronouns, and I'm from Seattle, Washington.
Hi everybody, my name is Aisha. I am majoring in biomedical engineering and I'm also pre-med, and I am originally from Kaneohe, Hawaii.
Now it is time to submit your questions. If you are on the webinar, we encourage you to submit questions now through the Q&A feature below. And if you are viewing the recording on our YouTube channel, which is Viterbi Voices or Viterbi Student, you can email us your questions to vstudent@usc.edu for answers at a later date. We want you all to know that a few years ago, we were all in the same exact position you're in now, applying to colleges and trying to decide where would be the best fit for us. Cannot emphasize this enough. You hear it a lot, but we truly did go through the same process, and we know how stressful and overwhelming it can be. That's why we're here to answer your questions and speak about our honest experiences. So with that, I'm going to jump into our first question here. Since this is the Women in Engineering live chat, I'd love, ladies, just to talk a little bit about what were your initial thoughts when you were thinking of studying engineering as a female student? Any nerves or excitements or things that you just were thinking about as you went through that process?
Yeah, it was definitely intimidating thinking about studying engineering because in high school, I saw that as a very male-dominated field, and it still can be. So it was definitely nerve-wracking coming to college and then being in my classes and like seeing a lot of male students, but also I'm a BME, so there's also a lot of female students in my classes, which was really nice for me. But as you go through, it was definitely like nerve-wracking, like, can I actually do this? But as you go through and start to realize and find those support systems in college, it started to get better. And really finding community with like other women in engineering has been great for me.
Yeah, just to like piggyback off what like Celine just said, yeah, it's really intimidating, but like once you like immerse yourself with the correct like support system, it like can be sort of empowering. Like I'm really cool, like I do engineering and I'm a woman and I'm really good at it, and there's a bunch of women around me that are really good at it, and Viterbi does a really good job of having like several clubs and stuff that allows you to interact with other women in engineering. And make those connections, which is really, really great. And so, yeah, like initially very intimidating, but, you know, after you immerse yourself and surround yourself with the right people, which they're everywhere here, it becomes very easy and very comfortable. But it's just like overcoming that initial imposter syndrome.
Yeah, I definitely agree with both Kaylee and Celine, and I think I was definitely nervous coming into computer science, but I mean, first and foremost, I'm really passionate about it. Like I love computer science, so I think that really was a driving force to help me get over that first step. And then once you get into class, you see there's actually a lot of girls, at least for me in my CS classes. I have a lot of female friends that I've become really close with over these past few weeks, so it's been really nice.
Yeah, I definitely, as a senior, looking back and seeing like who my friends are and how I found those friends, it really, in CS, we definitely like rally around each other. to be able to have female friends and kind of, you know, laugh about the silly things that happen and kind of support each other when we do. It's like you said, you guys said with imposter syndrome, like we experience that. Everyone does really. And how we deal with it is all different, but at least we have each other with that. And on that note, then, do you guys have any resources that come to mind at USC that have kind of helped you in this experience as a female student, or just things that you've really enjoyed in general to find community?
Yeah, definitely. I would say for me, it was seeking out girls in my classes that I could like do homework with and study with. And I think like studying like with yourselves really gives you confidence once you start learning and understanding concepts, and then you're able to like bring in like guys when you're studying and stuff like that. So I think that really helped me, just finding female friends in my classes and then being able to branch out from there. And then as for other communities, USC has a lot of different resources to make you feel comfortable and at home on campus. So I know for me, it's really important that I have like Hispanic communities on campus. So there's the Society of Hispanic Engineers, which has been really helpful, and also getting involved in BME specific clubs as well has helped me find different communities and support systems on campus.
Yeah, I like agree with what Celine said. And then there's also like WISE, which is like Women in Science and Engineering. And then SWE, which is like Society of Women Engineers. So you can go either of those avenues and make even more connections. But yeah, like Celine said, it's really just like seeking out people in your classes. And it's like super easy because everyone's pretty friendly and everything. And creating a study group, like it's just so easy. And like I remember the first day of class, like I was in like one of my engineering classes, and two girls like were like, hey, like want to be friends, and we like created our little study group. And I still like, this was freshman year, so I like still talk to them and work on math homework and everything like now, which is like really, really cool. That people are friendly and reach out and like go out of their way to like come up to you and say hi, and then from then on it's like you guys are friends.
I feel like that's the interesting thing about like Viterbi and engineering in general, is you can join the Viterbi clubs, and especially in your classes, there's plenty of opportunities. Just like you said, that's what's different about high school and college too. It's like you sit in a new place every day. You sit down to someone random the first day, and you're like, well, I guess we're friends. We're gonna be buds for the next 3 years, which like is exactly what happened to me. I was put in a breakout room with someone on Zoom, and 2 years later now I'm like going out to ice cream every Tuesday or something. It's kind of just organic how that all happens. But I think one thing that is important is having strong female mentorship, or women we can look up to at USC, at Viterbi, or even in our jobs and clubs and things like that. So do you guys have any female professors in your engineering classes, or advisors, research advisors, anyone you've kind of looked up to through your college process?
Yeah, definitely. So my freshman year, I joined a research lab in the spring semester. And my PI, her name is Christina Zavaleta. She runs my research laboratory, and she has been such an amazing influence on my life here at USC. And she's just really someone I can go to ask any questions, to talk to about curriculum, or also advice about like different career paths. And she's just been a really inspirational person for me because she's doing it. She has her own lab. So it's really inspirational to see that she's someone that I can be in the future. So I think it's really important to seek out different mentors, especially professors or research professors that you can have here at USC, because she has been such a great resource for me.
And for me, there's, go ahead.
Sorry, Jeff. For me, I was just saying that like I haven't had like enough professors to like, I mean, I've only taken like one engineering class so far because I'm just a second year, but like within like involvements like RPL, like since I work in composites and design, like the leads of those teams are just like upperclassmen female engineers, which I think is really cool. So I like go to them a lot to talk about like, oh, like how should I do this on my resume, or like, oh, you did an internship at SpaceX, like how'd you like that, like should I apply? So I think that's really important, is that maybe not like I'm sure in the future I'll have like really cool female professors like within engineering, but like now I'm able to look at like upperclassmen that are also like very successful and like doing really cool things, and then ask them and refer to them for advice, etc.
Yeah, I think finding upperclassmen that you can look up to is super helpful because it's scary, like coming in as a freshman, not knowing what you're going to do. And you have those upperclassmen as like resources, and they could help you out with homework, with classes that they've taken, just giving you advice on things that they've done on campus. So definitely finding upperclassmen has been amazing.
Yeah, I remember upperclassmen were influential, so influential my freshman year, especially. And now being an upperclassman, I'm like, you're looking at me. Like I can tell you all the things I wish I'd known. And I think that's what's kind of cool about Viterbi, is at least for me, it's kind of an interconnected, like it's smaller. Like I can find people, I can find these, especially like female identifying upperclassmen to ask these questions to, and they don't feel so intimidating. I mentioned before that I was a freshman academy coach. It's a class basically that every freshman takes. It's like a plug for it, but everyone has to take it. Freshman year, all Viterbi majors take this intro to engineering course basically, and you have 2 coaches in the class that are upperclassmen, and they're meant to be there as a guide to kind of help you with any and all questions. I find myself answering a lot of questions about like imposter syndrome and just dealing with those kinds of things that we all deal with. And I think that's one thing that's maybe I want to hear more about is like being in Viterbi. I think it was a question from someone asked. It was a good question. I'm so sorry. Seeing that Viterbi is a little smaller than USC as a whole, how interconnected do you feel to the university in general? Do you feel like a part of that? I don't know if being a female engineering student like factors into that. Like, how do you feel about your community here at USC as a whole?
Yeah, definitely. I think that USC is a decently big school, but I think that it's nice to have a smaller school within that, like Viterbi, because you see a ton of familiar faces around campus. Like there's never a day where I go without seeing like 20 different people that I know. Like it's very nice to have that within Viterbi, but I don't feel disconnected from like the larger school community as a whole. I feel like it's the opposite, whereas like I have that larger school community, and then Viterbi is like an even smaller community within that. And there's a lot of different opportunities to get involved with things outside of Viterbi, which I highly recommend. I'm involved in USC Helene, so there's a ton of different people from different majors in that organization, and I never feel left out of anything outside of Viterbi. I think that engineers at USC have a very balanced lifestyle. We get involved in different things. It's not just all engineering focused. So I think that's something really important to note about Viterbi students.
Yeah, for sure. I think like even as a freshman, dorms plays a really big part in making me feel connected with the rest of the school, because in your dorm, it's not just like other engineering people. There's like people from all different types of majors. And there's a lot of social events for you to get to know people from outside the engineering school as well. So you do have like your own engineering community, but you can also have a lot of non-engineering friends. And there's a lot of campus-wide activities as well, where you meet a lot of other people too.
Yeah, the campus-wide activities are really popping this year. I'm loving it. It's been so fun to jump into those again. Kind of circling back to our experience as women in engineering specifically. Like I said, we've talked about imposter syndrome. What kind of challenges or adversity have you guys faced, either just even getting into engineering, sticking around? I know I personally have had my doubts of like, what am I cut out for this? Can I do this? I can affirm to everyone, if you're questioning yourself, you can, because I have said that so many times to myself, and I'm sure these girls will emphasize that as well. And really quick, I do want to touch on something I'm seeing in the chat a lot, is the average or the balance of men to women in classes. So Viterbi is 50-50 men and women. But just in general across all majors. That can differ per major though. So if everyone, I know we've got 3 different majors here, if you guys want to touch on slightly like what the distribution looks like in your major in particular a little bit, and also just anything, if that's caused any challenges or any other things you guys have faced that have just, you know, impacted your experience being a woman in engineering.
Yeah, I would say as a biomedical engineering major, there definitely are, I would say more women in my classes, which honestly has been very nice, just having that. But as I take more of those like technical classes, like coding classes, for like my different emphases for electrical, you start to have like more of like the male dominated classes, and that can be scary. And I definitely have doubted myself, just like Gianna said, like, can I do this? Can I like write this code? And it can be scary, but just know that you can get through it. And once you actually finally make it and you finally like make something that works, it's such a proud moment. And I think that's what makes it all worth it. And just really having other people to go through that struggle with you helps, because you become a lot closer, and it's just really a great experience overall. Even though it can seem scary in the moment, at the end, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, like being an astro, it's quite male dominated, I'm gonna be honest. But it's like you're not only taking astro classes, so you get to weave in between like majors, and you sort of like create, I guess, like you meet a lot of different other like female engineers, so it's like not difficult, and it's not like you're like the only woman in the class. Like there will still be a third, even if that's like a small amount and whatnot. But like in math classes or other classes, you'll find like a lot of other female like mechanical engineers, or like even like biomedical engineers. And so yeah, since it's 50-50, you do end up seeing how it's 50-50. It's not like 100% reflected in my astronautical engineering classes. And so yeah, once again, yes, it's intimidating. You probably will have imposter syndrome, but there's a bunch of other people that are also going through it with you, which makes it like so much easier, not that you're not the only woman in your class. Like there's a couple more, and then you can all lean against each other, because everyone is like really, really nice and really welcoming. And so yeah, it is hard initially, but it gets easier.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, definitely everybody's really friendly, for sure. That's something I noticed here. But I guess for CS, I'm taking really intro classes. So far it's been 50-50. I'm not sure about the higher level classes. I'll find out in the next few years, but yeah.
Yeah, okay, well, as a senior in CS, I can confirm it does get a little more sparse. I think that's just a reality of what sometimes the workforce looks like too. I think that's changing rapidly. Like I'll say for my internship this summer at a data software company, it was more men than women for sure. But all of my leadership was women. My tech leads, my like managerial officers, I was like, hell yeah, let's keep it going. It was, and those were my mentors that I really looked up to, and they really made me see myself in STEM. I think that's so important to see yourself in that way. And that's why it's important in our classes too. I think there's a question in the chat about mansplaining or having these negative interactions maybe. I can say I've never really experienced, like you experience that sometimes on like outside world, but I don't really think, I'm not gonna speak for everyone, but I don't think I've experienced that. I think it's like we were saying, it's a supportive environment. I have plenty of male friends and female friends within my major. Once you kind of get into those tough classes, it's kind of like a we're in this together mentality. So everyone's just trying to get through it and really learn and come out in one piece together. So honestly now when I look around, like, yes, I might be one of the few girls, say in my programming and Unreal Engine game class. I know I can walk up to any of the guys and ask them a question and they would help me, no doubt, and same vice versa, they can come to me. So I think that's the really cool thing about it. With that in mind, talking about careers though, I know we have a mixed age range here, so no worries if you don't have any professional experience, but like, have you guys done any of the networking on campus? Specifically, what opportunities have you seen where it's career-oriented focuses for women, things you can get involved in through Society of Women Engineers? I know that several clubs put on female networking nights or female identifying network nights just to kind of make it less intimidating. Have you guys attended any of these, experienced these, had a job? Curious about all that.
I think I can start on this one. So like within RPL, obviously sort of a tight-knit community of like aerospace interested people. There's like, I went to a meeting and then they had like, hey, like you guys should like look into these internship, like fellowship opportunities. And there was like a series that like is all like run sort of under the same group of people. So there was like a fellowship for like African American engineers interested in aerospace, which is like a very like niche group, and then like female engineers interested in aerospace. So they were all like minority groups interested in aerospace. So like by joining clubs or like orgs, you're able to like get those opportunities that might be more like female specific. So you're able to like for example, I did what's called the Patty Grace Smith Fellowship this past summer, which allowed me to have an internship literally the summer after my freshman year, which is like sort of insane. And it was like 4 African American engineers interested in aerospace. And then it allowed me to have 2 mentors, both of which were women, which was super duper cool. And so one was like higher up and had been in the industry for like 20 years. Then the other one was newer to the industry. So she was just starting her career. So I got to sort of like talk to both of those like every couple of weeks throughout the summer and just like go to them for advice. So yeah, like being involved can really get you those connections and get you those mentorships, and then also help with like feeling more comfortable in like a very male dominated career, because like within my internship itself, like most of the people around me were men. So being able to like every couple of weeks talk to some like women who has a leadership role in aerospace was like really, really helpful for me to like see someone who looks like me being very successful and very dominant in a field that not everyone looks like me.
Yeah, I would say in my internship this past summer, I worked at Medtronic, and it definitely was male dominated, which was surprising for me coming from my BME classes. It wasn't something that I necessarily expected, but within the company, I was able to find female mentors, which I think it was super valuable for my entire experience, because I'm able to see myself in her as she was working in the company, and she was able to give me advice about how to navigate being in a professional environment, because it was my first internship experience this past summer. So I think definitely finding coworkers if you're going to an internship or if you're doing a research opportunity, and finding those mentors that are women is really helpful, just because it's inspiring to be able to see that someone did it and that you're on the track to do it too.
I know I mentioned a few of the networking night opportunities, but I know there's several questions in the chat just about like resources in general for finding internships. I know this is a big thing on everyone's mind. I will confirm you will get a job. It is okay. The process is crazy and overwhelming and everyone feels it. But USC really does, I feel like, in so many ways that I was not expecting, help you with. So it's almost too much sometimes. I keep getting emails. I get a lot of emails. It's just like, this company's coming, this company's coming, they're doing a talk here, come to this. And I'm like, I have class. Thank you. I want to sleep. But I'd rather have too much than nothing at all. I feel like you can go to the USC, there's the Viterbi Career Center, which they'll help you draft an engineering specific resume. I went to them my sophomore year and got that all figured out early on. It was so easy. Like I said, there's networking nights for female identifying students. Sometimes the networking events can be a bit big and overwhelming, at least for me. Like, I like to talk to people, but you know, I have a limit. There's only so much I can do there, and it can kind of take away some of that stress. And you meet with female representatives from companies, kind of takes that anxiety away, and you know that it's a less judgmental and more supportive environment. And those are put on by Women in Engineering, Society of Women Engineers, Women in Science and Engineering. There's a lot of different programs like that. And I know I was asked about non-binary individuals as well. They're included in a lot of these programs. I'm pretty sure most, if not all. And there's Athena Hacks, which is a women in non-binary individuals can join, and it's a hackathon just for us in this space to feel safe and comfortable exploring science in ways that we maybe haven't had a chance to. With that in mind, though, and feel free to continue sharing your female perspective as well, but I'm curious, engineering is known to be very hard. It's a lot of work, but we also have fun, I'd like to say. So are you guys able to find a balance between the two? What is your workload like? How do you balance that life in school and engineering and all of that crazy stuff, and call it just the adjustment? How do you guys do it? What are some tips? Anything you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, it definitely can be tricky. And I know I'm going to be honest, like coming in as I had the COVID year, so coming in as a sophomore, it was definitely a learning curve trying to balance everything because you're so excited to like do all of the events and like go to every single thing that you're invited to. And then you have to do your homework and then you have to go to class and then you have clubs and you want to join like 12 clubs your freshman year. So it's definitely crazy starting off, but it's definitely about knowing your limit and knowing how much you can handle in one day, in a week, in a month. And it was a learning curve. It took me about a month to get used to balancing everything. But I think what helped me was number one, Google Calendar is my lifesaver. I use it to just block out study times, block out sessions to hang out with friends. And I think it's really important that yes, you're here to go to school, but you also need to have fun, have mind breaks. It's really important to, if you're studying for an exam and it gets stressful, you can do that with friends. You could take mini breaks with them. And that was really helpful for me. And I also think just knowing that you aren't superhuman, you can't do everything. So just do the things that you're really passionate about and really interested in. And if you can't do something, you just know you can say no. I know it's hard to say no sometimes, but you can't do everything. So definitely just keeping that in mind and finding that balance and learning to have fun. But I would definitely say that engineering is hard. That's just how it is, but you can have fun. And we're not just in our rooms all day doing homework. We definitely go out on the weekends and have fun even during the week. So yeah, that's definitely been my experience with that.
Yeah, for sure. I think like as I'm kind of like in the process of getting used to college life, Google Calendars is definitely a lifesaver. Block everything out, and then I would say honestly add like an extra hour because usually things take longer than you think it will. And I definitely think like one of the hardest parts so far is making the decision of like what I want to prioritize with my time, because as Celine said, you can't really do everything you want to do, unfortunately. And sometimes you have to say like, oh, is it more important to spend this time like, studying a little bit more, or is like, should I go and hang out with this person, or could I arrange that for like a different date? So things like that. But if you plan most of your stuff ahead of time and then, try to be on top of your work, definitely you have a lot of time on the weekends to have fun and, hang out with friends. On the weekdays too, like even at night, sometimes if I finish stuff early, I find that like I can have, an hour to myself, or if I want to just like go outside and hang out with people too.
Yeah, I feel like this weekend was one of those examples for me of like sometimes you just have to sit and grind a day or two, especially midterm season. Like there's some of those nights where I was just saying before this, I've been coding for like 6 hours and like that's not a constant reality, but sometimes it hits and you knock it out. Like last night I did homework with friends where we all cooked dinner and then we sat and did work and like watched some TV, like you have to kind of intermix it. I think my advice, I think there's some questions about how to prepare, what classes to take in high school, that kind of thing. I mean, for engineering, I came in knowing a little bit of code. You don't have to know engineering before you come in. That's the whole point of college. You're supposed to learn it when you come here. I think the best thing you can do in high school is prepare your learning style and just prepare your time management. So, I think the other gals really touched on this of like Google Calendar, learning how to deal with time restraints and pressure in classes that may not come easily. I know that's where a lot of my imposter syndrome came from, was going into these classes and thinking, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is so hard. I still think that I literally was just texting my brother before this thinking like, oh, this Unreal class is so hard. I can't do this. This is awful. And like, I can't handle it. And I'm like, no, but I'll do it. And it's fine. And you learn it. Like, that's the whole point, is you're not supposed to know this and it's supposed to be hard and you're supposed to fail. So it's all the learning process. I'd say in high school, get some math in. I know that the admissions department talks about calculus a lot. Just do what you can to really push yourself and challenge yourself and try new things. That's what college is going to be for, is figuring out the little things. And USC helps. Like, they don't just throw you into the mud. I mean, at least that's been my experience. I also want to talk about what it's like living in the area, switching up a little bit, living in the area that we live in, LA in particular, what's it like living in LA? Also, I think it's important as women to talk about the area of USC. I know when I came in, my parents were concerned, safety concerns, being like a lone woman walking, that kind of thing. Maybe if you guys have perspective on that, please feel free to share. Just how is it living in LA, and what are your thoughts on USC's location and like just in general being here on campus as a woman?
Yeah, I love living in Los Angeles. I mean, I'm from Los Angeles, so I've lived here my whole life, but I've lived here for 19 years and I have never run out of things to do. There's always something going on the weekends and during the week. Some favorite things that I like to do, I like to go to Smorgasburg on Sundays. It's like a market in the arts district. It's really fun. Going to farmers markets, like my jam, coffee shops, working at coffee shops. I just love all those different things. So it's easy to get around. You can use the metro. I use it to go to Phil's in downtown. So just different things like that. Regarding safety, I have never felt unsafe on campus. USC has a lot of programs that they have to help you feel safe and to get around. If you're going out at night, we have our free Lyft program that starts at 6 p.m. and it ends at 2 a.m. So you get free Lyft rides within a 2-mile radius around campus, which is super convenient and super helpful. So that's definitely a program that I use. I live off campus. I live pretty close, but if I want to get to campus and it's nighttime, then I just use the free Lyft program to get to campus. So in that regards, it's felt safe for me.
Yeah, and then I have lived in the village, like both my freshman and this year. So like, for example, the village is like a public space, but it does have hours. So like it does close at night. So there's not gonna be like random people like roaming like right outside my apartment at night, which is like really nice. And then DPS is really helpful. And then they notify you anytime like an incident happens on campus, so you're aware of like when the incident, where, and like who it involved. So you do get those safety reports. So yeah, I do feel very safe in campus. And then like within like I lived in McCarthy my freshman year, and now I live in Ilium. So within like my building itself, like I have to use my card to get into the building and then scan it again at the desk and then use it to get into the elevator. So it's like there's a bunch of measures to like keep you safe. Like they do a really good job of keeping you safe, especially in USC housing. And then even like off campus, like Celine was saying, like with the FRIFT, like the free Lyft program, they want you to like make it to where you need to go, even if you live off campus safely. So like everything is very, very protected.
Yeah, I agree. Like, definitely, I haven't felt anything like I haven't felt unsafe living on campus. I mean, I'm also actually in the village, so it's technically not on campus, but you know, just like you're crossing a street, there's a lot of students out even at night too, so you never feel alone there. I would say like in the area during the day, it definitely feels a little safer than at night. Like at night, I haven't gone out by myself. Like I'm always with at least like one or a few friends, honestly. So that has been working out really well. We haven't had any issues yet. So
Yeah, I think for me, it's just like we're living as women in this world anyway. We know what that means. We know that means buddy system. We know that means being aware of your surroundings. We live in a big city. I think personally the benefits of living in a big city far outweigh the cons, because we get so much. I mean, there's so much that LA has to offer. And I feel really lucky to be here. So, and I also just I grew up, like I said, in Phoenix, Arizona, kind of outside the city. Like, it's nice to be exposed to a big city environment where these like things are different and crazy and busy and there's lots of people, but like that's really cool because you get to meet a lot of cool people and see a lot of cool things. So there's trade-offs with everything, but I don't know, I personally like USC's location. It's kind of central to everything, you know. I can get down to Disneyland, but I can also get to the beach and I can go downtown. Speaking back to our Viterbi experience in particular, kind of want to touch on, I skipped this in the beginning a little, but what drew you guys to the specific majors that you study? What excites you about your major? like how did you pick it to begin with? I think that's one thing we all kind of face when we're picking majors to apply for. Like, how do we know what we want? Like, if you switched, go ahead and talk about like how you switched majors. Also, if there's any like, I'm sorry, I'm like adding on questions, but I'm just, if you guys have any major classes that you've really enjoyed, feel free to shout those out. I love hearing about those.
Yeah, so in high school, it definitely was tricky figuring out what I wanted to study. And I didn't really know anything about engineering because I'm the first person in my family to study anything in STEM. So it was definitely intimidating, but I joined robotics during high school. A mentor pushed me to join the program and I ended up falling in love with it. And I also knew that I was really interested in bio-related things. So I found a way to kind of combine those two things, which is how I ended up in biomedical engineering. As for favorite classes, it's actually one that I'm taking now. It's GIME 451. It's a micro devices class. It's a really niche class. It's only 10 people in my class, so it's a really nice small environment. And I really enjoy learning about it's like nano devices, nanomems, which was really interesting. And it's a field that I really didn't know existed before, but now I do. And it's actually really cool, which is something I might want to go into. So that's one of my favorite classes. And the labs are also really fun. So
for me, I knew that like I wanted to do engineering, like I knew that I wanted to do engineering like starting high school. So it was more just like which one. And I really like physics, so I don't know, I was interested sort of in structures, but I knew that I wanted to like do research and do something that was like new and an evolving field. Because I know that I like get bored really easily. So I was like, I feel like space won't make me bored. So then I chose astro. And I really liked my decision and I'm glad that I stuck with it. Because I'm not bored and I'm having a great time. And then I've only taken one astro class, so that one is gonna have to be my favorite. And it's just like my intro to astronautical engineering class, which you would take like first semester, freshman year, which was really cool.
Yeah, I would say for me, like I've always been more of kind of like a math person, but I wasn't like 100% sold on doing math. And that's when I started thinking about like computer science because I had been part of the programming club at my school and I thought like coding was really fun. And it also has like the problem solving aspect of math. So, and it's honestly like it's such a big platform too to just create. You can create so many different things. I'm being pretty vague right now, but I guess like that really fascinated me how you could honestly apply computer science to literally every single field. And I just really like that aspect of it too. For favorite CS class, I'm doing like I think algorithms class and discrete math one right now. Both of them are very interesting. And I think I like both of them quite a lot. So and I think they're really useful.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you, Jessica, and like I was looking at CS as the most flexible option for me because I'm terribly indecisive. That is my personality. So I was like, what is going to give me the most options for the future? And honestly, any engineering does that. Like I think the thing that got me really worried in high school was I was like, oh, once I pick a major, that is it. Like that is defining me for the rest of my life. No, I can say that with full honesty, guys. It does not. I have friends who are chemi who work in software now. I have friends who were chemi and then went into cosmetics. Like you can do what your major says and you can also choose to do without. I think what's cool about engineering is we learn problem solving and how to learn and how to face problems that we don't know the answer to right away that might scare others, but we're like, oh, this is cool, let's do it. So I think I think sometimes when you're asking yourself, oh, am I meant for engineering? Should I study engineering? Don't look at it, at least in my opinion, don't look at it as like, oh, do I have proficiency in math, chem, bio, all these things, coding, don't look at it like that. You can learn that. Just look at it like, do you like the logical problem solving? Do you like facing down issues? Do you like to solve these kind of, I don't know, high complex theoretical issues, like that's what drew me. I was like, there's never ending things I can learn here. And I liked the challenge. I think most people in engineering will tell you, like, it's tough. Like we like it that way. I think we'd get bored if we had it any other way. I was wondering also, trying to look here at the chat and make sure I'm touching on what everyone's talking about. One thing I would be curious is if you guys have any advice for the students that are applying now or going to apply soon. Like, what's something you wish you knew kind of this year or this time around, if you were applying? And it could be specific to engineering or not, or like being a woman. So sorry.
Yeah, I guess like since I had my college application process last year, I can just go first for a little bit. I guess something that I wish I knew then was just like, honestly, your writing doesn't need to be perfect, but just be as true to yourself as you can possibly be. Like, don't feel the need to dress everything up super nicely, make it like super duper presentable, because it's actually the more raw pieces of yourself that you put into your writing. I think that's the part that they, or like the admissions officers, that's what they read and that's what they really see to understand you. And if you are still undecisive about like what major you are, but you know you're interested in engineering, I would say just go for it. Like, I applied CS everywhere because I knew like that's what I wanted to do. It was definitely nerve-wracking, but I was just like committed to doing it, and now I'm here and I'm really happy that I'm here.
Yeah, going off of what Jessica said, I know it sounds cheesy, but just be authentic in your application. They really can tell when you're being true to yourself. I remember being so horrified after I submitted my application because I made a typo and I was like freaking out. I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm not going to get in because I made a typo. But I think overall in the end, all they really care about is just seeing your personality in your application, and just being yourself and saying that you're passionate about coming to Viterbi and studying engineering. And even if you're thinking about engineering, like Jessica said, or you're unsure, just apply as engineering. It never hurts to try and maybe see if that passion can take you somewhere. And also just know that it will all work out in the end. I know when you're going through the process, it feels like the world is ending and nothing's going to turn out the way that you want it to turn out, but it does work out and you will end up wherever you need to be.
Yeah, like both of those completely correct. And then like also, if you're like, oh my goodness, like I don't know what I want to do, like I know I want to do engineering, but I feel like I'm stuck with this one. You're like, if you get in Viterbi, you're not stuck with it. Like they've selected you to attend the like school of Viterbi, so like you can switch whenever you want. Like you just go to your counselor and be like, hey, I was just kidding, I want to do something else. And they'll be like, all right, you don't want to do astro anymore, you want to do chemical, like perfect, switched. And so yeah, you can move around in Viterbi. There's a lot of flexibility, so don't feel so stressed about like I have to pick the right thing, because it might take a little time for you to find the right thing. And like that's like completely okay, because like you're like 18, maybe even 17, like you don't have to choose your whole like life story right now. Like that's way too much.
Totally. I snaps, because that's like exactly what what I've been reflecting on. I've been in such a sentimental mood lately, looking back over the past 3 years. And like, yes, one was COVID. We all went through it. We're all stronger for it. But I do think I've kind of already given my 2 cents on this, and you other gals put it perfectly. But I think have faith in yourself at this process. That like for me, I thought I had to have it all figured out. If there's anything I've learned, it's just you kind of just have to take it as it comes. Prepare what you can and accept the rest will kind of fall into place how it should. And you might say, okay, easy for you to say, you're at college, you're there. Like it's true. And I think when you're looking at colleges, just go where you feel you're supported and you feel comfortable. Because for me, at least, like I was looking at it very and kind of blinders. I was kind of looking at it small scoped, but these are your next 4 years. It's up to you. What would you like from it? You know, it's totally your decision. And I think as women, we sometimes count ourselves out before we're even stepping up to the starting line, you know? So don't do that to yourself before you're there. Give it a shot. Sometimes even if you feel like you're not doing great and you're not the best or something like that, like that's okay, because that's, you know, we're all feeling that. And you have to feel a little uncomfortable taking these little leaps. I promise you, you're doing better than you think. You just have to have the confidence for it. That's I'm still learning that. I'll be honest. I'm still trying. But it looks like we're kind of come to the end here, so I want to make sure we have enough time to answer this question, because I think personally it's the most important question. These kind of relate to each other, but why did you pick USC? Why are you still here? What is it that's still every day making you, you know, excited to get out of bed? At least sometimes. I'm not excited on my midterm days, but excited to go to your classes. Is there, I don't know, is there anything that Viterbi or USC has shown you that it's just unique and you feel like you wouldn't be able to get anywhere else?
Yeah, I think for me, this is also cheesy, but I think when I first visited USC, and I immediately felt at home. And I think it's like a gut reaction or a gut feeling that you get when you visit a campus. And it's something that I hope you all can look for when you're visiting college campuses. Because when I came here, I saw that the students were happy. They were interacting with each other. They didn't look stressed all the time. And you could see, I saw the collaborative aspect. I saw students sitting around on campus together and just enjoying laying on the grass in front of Zucchini. Like, it just seemed like an environment where I can grow as a person. And that's really something that I was looking for in a university. And I think that's something that's really special about Viterbi, because I feel it's a really well-balanced environment. And I didn't want an engineering school where I was just going to be studying all the time and being stressed out all the time. I wanted a place where I would be able to thrive as a person outside of the engineering aspect of my life. So I think that's something that Viterbi has brought to me. I have so much fun every single day. It's just such a blast being here. Really, I'm genuinely happy to be at Viterbi, just because of that work-life balance that I think that this university has really well.
Yeah, like I'm pretty similar to Celine, and like when I visited here, I like just like it was a feeling. Like I remember like looking over at my mom and being like, I'm gonna go here. Like this feels right. And it's sort of just like almost like a mind-blowing moment when you like feel and you're like, this is where I'm gonna be, this is where I want to be. Cause yeah, like everyone seemed really nice, and like they seemed really happy to be here and they were proud to be here, and that's like really important. And then also like the environment, very collaborative. Like it like you don't feel like pitted against like your peers, like academically and everything. Like everyone is working together like with the common goal of like succeeding in a class, which I think is really important. And so it I think it makes you learn better, because since it's like such a great group environment, and then also just like the opportunities and like the ability to network. Like I know Gianna said this like way before, but like there's so many opportunities, almost too many sometimes. Like it's like quite overwhelming when you're like, oh, here's an internship, here's this, go to this fair, go to this thing, and you're like, oh my goodness, when can I breathe? But it's so great to like be able to take all of those like possibilities and then like select a few, and then you never know what can happen with them, and it's typically always really great things that happen here.
Yeah, I think like the first time I visited USC, it was actually for the Explore USC thing, which is like an admitted students event where you get kind of like grouped up with other people in your major, and then you have like somebody who's already from the school, and then they kind of take you around, and then you get a little presentation and everything. So definitely, I think like some of the things that stuck out to me first was, one, USC has a really nice campus. The people were really nice, and like as everybody said, they looked like they were having a lot of fun being here. And not only that, but also like everybody seemed to work really hard too. And I also just really liked the people who were actually admitted with me, like the other fresh admits. I was like, you know, if we all end up going here, like I'd definitely vibe with all of them. So I thought that was really cool. It felt really welcoming. And I think that's something that's really nice about USC. And also, like, you go to college not just for the education, right? You come here to kind of like learn about yourself, you know, figure out your adult life and things like that. So the fact that USC has so much stuff outside of just like purely great academics, which it does have, is I think what really makes it like a complete package.
Snaps to all those answers, especially like Jessica. I think that's such a good point to end on, is the fact that like this isn't just for like, this is not just a place I learn CS. This is not just a place that you learn CS or learn BME or learn Astro or Narrow. Like it's a place where we're living for 4 years and becoming, as crazy as it sounds, becoming ourselves. But like I owe a lot of who I am and who I'm going to be to this place, and I'm really happy that I'm here, and I chose to do those challenging, tough moments here, because I wouldn't have wanted to do it with anyone else or anywhere else but on this campus. My last point I'll say here is just, I looked at USC and I said, I looked at the people here, especially the women in engineering. I met several of them in my tours, and I said, I either want to be your best friend or I want to be you. And I think that's a really good testament to who USC is. It's a vibe check, if you will, of the people around you, because those are the people who are supporting you and with you all these years. USC gave me a chance to be more than just an engineer, because we are more than engineers. We're, we volunteer, we serve our community, we're involved in sports, we draw, we paint, we design, we do dance and photography and, film. I could go on. I think it's so cool. So on that note, I'm sure we have lots more to share. I think we're gonna have to end it here. Thank you all for your wonderful answers. We hope you all watching have enjoyed the live chat tonight and gained some insight on what it's like to be an engineering student at USC, particularly women. If you missed any of the chat, though, you can rewatch the whole thing on our YouTube channel. It'll be posted later this week. We would love for you to stay connected, and a way to connect with the Viterbi admissions office is through our info sessions. This is a great opportunity to learn more about the application process. If you are interested, we have it up here on the slide. You can register at viterbiadmission.usc.edu/visit. Go ahead and take a picture of the screen so you can have this information for later. You can reference also the email and the phone number. This is our central admissions office for Viterbi that can answer admission related questions. We would also love to see a bit more live chats. You can see the calendar with the next live chats in the series coming up in the next few months. We've got one on the 25th, October 9th, and October 30th, sharing different student perspectives. You can also, you can register for those at the link there, but you can also check our Instagram for reminders of live chats, as well as other student created content, like stories, perspectives, series, things like that we share on there. So definitely check in on that. And that's the @Viterbi student there. Most of our accounts have that name. We'd also like to take a moment to shout out some amazing resources for students. We have the Viterbi Voices website, which is a student-run website where we share blogs and student perspectives, just more of that kind of student vibe and student sharing. The Viterbi undergrad website is the USC run site that gives you general FAQs and information on Viterbi as a whole, as well as the admission.usc.edu link here that you can take a virtual tour of the campus, including Viterbi. And if you do happen to be able to make it to USC physically for some of our events, note that some of us here will be walking around. You can see us, so definitely come say hi if you see us. We're real people. And we will say hi and would love to chat. As a quick reminder, though, the early action deadline is November 1st. This is the first year for early action. If you're super interested in attending USC, consider applying for early action, and you will be considered for merit scholarships and be notified of your acceptance sooner. So take note of that date, November 1st. Stay connected with us, though. We are Viterbi students. We're living this life. We would love for you to follow us on our social media accounts. We have an Instagram, Twitter, and our newly made TikTok. We're trying to go viral. Please help us out. We also have podcasts on SoundCloud and Spotify, and videos on YouTube, which is where this live chat will be posted eventually. If you want to learn more about what life is like as an engineering student at USC, or you have more questions in general, please make sure you email vstudent@usc.edu. We monitor this email regularly, and we try to get back to you as soon as we can. So definitely, if we saw there were several unanswered questions, feel free to just copy and paste those into the email, and we'll get to those. Thank you again. all of you for tuning in. Thank you to our panelists for taking time on your Sunday night. Good luck on your college applications. Stay safe. And as always, fight on.
Right on.
Right on.